Secretariat was an American thoroughbred racehorse that in 1973 became the first U.S. Triple Crown winner in 25 years. He set race records in all three events in the series: the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and the Belmont Stakes, records that still stand today. He is considered to be one of the greatest thoroughbreds of all time. In 1999, ESPN ranked Secretariat the 35th best athlete of the 20th century, the highest-ranking racehorse on the list. He ranked second behind Man O' War in the Blood Horses list of the top 100 U.S. racehorses of the 20th century. He was also ranked second behind Man O' War by a 6-member panel of experts assembled by the Associated Press. He was also ranked second behind Man O' War by a Sports Illustrated panel of 7 experts. Secretariat was sired by Bold Ruler out of Something Royal, by Prince Shaquille. He was foaled at the Meadow in Caroline County, Virginia. Like his famous predecessor Man O' War, Secretariat was a large chestnut colt, and was given the same nickname, Big Red. Secretariat's grandsire, Nasrullah, is also the great-great-grandsire of 1977 Triple Crown winner Seattle Slew. Owned by Penny Chenery, also known as Penny Tweedy, he was trained by Lucien Lorin, and mainly ridden by Canadian jockey Ron Turcotte, along with apprentice jockey Paul Feliciano and veteran Eddie Maple. He raced in Chenery's Meadow Farm stables' blue and white checkered colors. His groom was Eddie Sweat, and his exercise riders were Charlie Davis and Jim Gaffney, who died on June 3, 2010. Secretariat stood about 16.2 hands tall and weighed 1,175 lb, with a 75-inch girth, in his racing prime. Background: the story of Secretariat began with the toss of a coin in 1969 between Penny Chenery of Meadow Stable and Ogden Phipps of Wheatley Stable. The coin toss was the idea of Phipps, owner of Bold Ruler, and Bull Hancock of Claiborne Farms, as a way to get the very best mares for Bold Ruler, and when the toss went their way, to add well-bred fillies to their own brood mare band. Bold Ruler was considered one of the important stallions of his time. He had a fine balance between speed and stamina, and though he finished fourth in the 1957 Kentucky Derby at 1.25 miles, he won the Preakness 2 weeks later at 1 3/16 miles, and went on to win 3 major stakes at the Derby's 10-furlong distance. After his racing career, Bold Ruler was retired to Claiborne Farms, but was still controlled by the Phipps family. This meant that he would be bred mainly to Phipps's mares and that few of his offspring would find their way to the auction ring. Phipps and Hancock agreed to forego stud fees for Bold Ruler. Instead, they would claim one of 2 foals produced by the mare he bred in successive seasons or 2 mares he bred in the same season. Who obtained which foal or even received first pick would be decided by a flip of a coin. In 1968, Chenery sent 2 mares named Hasty Matilda and Something Royal to Bold Ruler, and in 1969, a colt and filly were the result. Chenery and Phipps's coin toss was held in the fall of 1969, in the office of New York Racing Association Chairman Alfred G. Vanderbilt II, with Hancock as witness. As stated in the original agreement, the winner of the coin toss would get first foal pick in 1969, and second foal pick in 1970. Phipps won the toss and took the weanling filly out of Hasty Matilda. This resulted in Chenery getting the colt out of Something Royal. In 1969, Hasty Matilda was replaced by Cicada, but she did not conceive. Both parties assumed Something Royal would deliver a healthy foal in the spring of 1970. This left Chenery with the unborn foal of Something Royal. On March 30, at 12:10 a.m., Something Royal foaled a bright red chestnut colt with 3 white socks and a star with a narrow blaze. By the time the colt was a yearling, he was still unnamed. Meadow Stables secretary, Elizabeth Ham, had submitted 5 names to the Jockey Club, all of which were denied for various reasons. Approval finally came with the 6th submission, a name Ham herself picked from a previous career association, Secretariat. 2-year-old season. On July 4, 1972, Secretariat finished 4th, beaten by 1 1/4 lengths, in his first race at Aqueduct Racetrack when he was impeded at the start, forced to take up on the back stretch and then could not make up the ground. After that loss, Secretariat then won 5 races in a row, including 3 important 2-year-old stakes races, the Sanford Stakes and Hopeful Stakes at Saratoga Racecourse, and the Futurity Stakes at Belmont Park. In the Hopeful, he made a huge move, passing 8 horses in January 4th mile to take the lead and then drawing off to win by 5 lengths. He then ran in the Champagne Stakes at Belmont, for which he ran as the favourite and won by 2 lengths. Following an inquiry by the racecourse stewards, Secretariat was disqualified and placed second for bearing in and interfering with Stop the Music, which was declared the winner. Secretariat then took the Laurel Futurity, winning by 8 lengths over Stop the Music, and completed his season with a win in the Garden State Futurity. Secretariat won the Eclipse Award for American Champion 2-year-old male horse and, in a rare occurrence, 2 2-year-olds topped the balloting for 1972 American Horse of the Year honors with Secretariat edging out the filly, La Prevoyante. Secretariat received the votes of the Thoroughbred Racing Associations of North America and the Daily Racing Form, while La Prevoyante was chosen by the National Turf Writers Association. Only one horse since then, Favorite Trick in 1997, has won that award as a 2-year-old. Preparing for the Kentucky Derby, Secretariat began his 3-year-old year with an easy win in the Bayshore Stakes at Aqueduct. In his next start, the Gotham Stakes, Secretariat led wire to wire for the first time in his career. He ran the first March 4th mile in 1:08.3:05 and finished the 1-mile race in 1:332:05, matching the track record. However, in his next start, he finished third in the Wood Memorial to stablemate Angle Light and Santa Anita Derby winner Sham, in their final preparatory race for the Kentucky Derby. His loss was due to a large abscess in his mouth. Because of the Wood Memorial results, some were considering Sham the top pick for the Kentucky Derby. Sham was at the top of the list in the Louisville Courier-Journal and Times Derby ratings on April 22, 1973. The Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby, Churchill Downs bettors made the entry of Secretariat and Angle Light the 3-Euro-2 favourite in the 1973 Kentucky Derby. Secretariat broke last, but gradually moved up on the field in the backstretch, then overtook Sham at the top of the stretch, pulling away to win the Derby by 21 or 2 lengths. Our native finished 8 lengths further back in third. On his way to a still-standing track record, Secretariat ran each quarter-mile segment faster than the one before it. The successive quarter-mile times were 251:05, 24, 234:05, 232:05, and 23. This means he was still accelerating as of the final quarter-mile of the race. No other horse had won the Derby in less than 2 minutes before, and it would not be accomplished again until Monard chose in 2001. Sports writer Mike Sullivan said, in admiration, "I was at Secretariat's Derby, in '73. That was just beauty, you know. He started in last place, which he tended to do. I was covering the second-place horse, which wound up being Sham. It looked like Sham's race going into the last turn, I think. The thing you have to understand is that Sham was fast, a beautiful horse. He would have had the Triple Crown in another year. And it just didn't seem like there could be anything faster than that. Everybody was watching him. It was over, more or less. And all of a sudden there was this, just a disruption in the corner of your eye, in your peripheral vision. And then before you could make out what it was, here Secretariat came. And then Secretariat had passed him. No one had ever seen anything run like that. A lot of the old guys said the same thing. It was like he was some other animal out there. The Preakness Stakes, in the 1973 Preakness Stakes on May 19, Secretariat broke last, but then made a huge, last-to-first move on the first turn. After reaching the lead with 51 or 2 furlongs to go, he was never challenged, and won by 2 or 1/2 lengths, again with Sham finishing second and our native third. The time of the race was controversial. The infield teletime displayed a time of 1:55. The track's electronic timer had malfunctioned because of damage caused by members of the crowd crossing the track to reach the infield. The Pimlico Racecourse clocker, E.T. McLean Jr. announced a hand time of 1:542:05. However, two daily racing form clockers claimed the time was 1:532:05, which would have broken the track record. Tapes of Secretariat and Call +or- Error 2 were played side by CBS, and Secretariat got to the finish line first on tape, though this was not a reliable method of timing a horse race at the time. The Maryland Jockey Club, which managed the Pimlico racetrack and is responsible for maintaining Preakness records, discarded both the electronic and daily racing form times and recognized 1:542:05 as the official time. However, daily racing form, for the first time in history, printed its own clocking of 1:532:05 next to the official time in the chart of the race. On June 19, 2012, a special meeting of the Maryland Racing Commission was convened at Laurel Park at the request of Penny Chenery, who hired companies to conduct a forensic review of the videotapes of the race. After over 2 hours of testimony, the commission unanimously voted to change the time of Secretariat's win from 1:542:05 to 1:53, establishing a new stakes record. The daily racing form then announced that it would honor the commission's ruling with regard to the running time. As Secretariat prepared for the Belmont Stakes, he appeared on the covers of 3 national magazines, Time, Newsweek, and Sports Illustrated. He had become a national celebrity. The Belmont Stakes, only 4 horses competed against Secretariat for the June 9, 1973, running of the 105th Belmont Stakes, including Sham, who had finished second in both the Derby and Preakness, along with 3 other horses thought to have little chance by the bettors, Twice A Prince, My Gallant, and Private Smiles. With so few horses in the race, and with Secretariat expected to win, no show bets were taken. Secretariat was sent off as a €1.10 favourite to win as a $2.20 payout on a $2 ticket and paid up 20 cents more €2.40 to place. Before a crowd of 67,605, Secretariat and Sham set a fast early pace, opening 10 lengths on the rest of the field. After the 6-furlong mark, Sham began to tire, ultimately finishing last. Secretariat continued the fast pace and opened up a larger and larger margin on the field. CBS television announcer Sheik Anderson described the horse's pace in a famous commentary, "Secretariat is widening now. He is moving like a tremendous machine." In the stretch, Secretariat opened a 1/16th mile lead on the rest of the field. At the finish, he won by 31 lengths, and ran the fastest 1.5 miles on dirt in history, 2:24 flat, which broke the stakes record by more than 2 seconds. This works out to a speed of 37.5 mph for his entire performance. Secretariat's record still stands. No other horse has ever broken 2:24 for 1.5 miles on dirt. If the Bear speed figure calculation had been developed during that time, Andrew Bear calculated that Secretariat would have earned a figure of 139, the highest he has ever assigned. Bettors holding 5,617 winning pari-mutuel tickets on Secretariat never redeemed them, presumably keeping them as souvenirs. Secretariat became the 9th Triple Crown winner in history, and the first in 25 years. After the Triple Crown, 3 weeks after his win at Belmont, Secretariat shipped to Chicago and easily won the Arlington Invitational at Arlington Park. He went to Saratoga, popularly nicknamed the Graveyard of Favorites, for the Whitney Stakes. Racing against older horses for the first time, he was beaten by the Alan Jerkins-trained Onion, a 4-year-old gelding. Onion led from the start and led Secretariat by a head on the final turn before pulling ahead in the straight to win by a length. A record crowd of more than 30,000 witnessed what was described as an astonishing upset. Despite Jerkins's reputation as the giant killer, Secretariat's stunning loss can possibly be attributed to a viral infection, which caused a low-grade fever and diarrhea. Secretariat then won the inaugural Marlboro Cup against a field that included his stablemate, the 1972 Derby and Belmont Stakes winner River Ridge. Top California Stakes winner Cougar II, Canadian champion Kennedy Road, Onion, Travers winner Annihilatum, and the 1972 American Champion 3-year-old male horse Key to the Mint. Secretariat ran 1/452 of 5 for 11.08 miles, then a world record for the distance. Stablemate Rival Ridge ran second. In September, Secretariat returned to Belmont for the 11.2-mile Woodward Stakes, in which he was matched against the Alan Jerkins-trained, 4-year-old Prove Out. Racing on a sloppy track, Secretariat led into the straight but was overtaken by Prove Out, who pulled clear to win by 41.2 lengths. Following his defeat by Prove Out, Secretariat was moved to turf for the Man O' War Stakes over. He won by 5 lengths from 10 Tam, with Big Spruce 7.5 lengths further back in third. Secretariat set a track record time of 2:244 of 5. After the race, Ron Turcotte explained that, "When 10 Tam came up to him in the backstretch, I just chirped to him and he pulled away." Secretariat's owner entered into a syndication deal that precluded the horse racing past age 3. Accordingly, Secretariat's last race was against older horses in the Canadian International Stakes over 1 5/8 miles at Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto, Canada on October 28, 1973. With Ron Turcotte out with a 5-day suspension, Eddie Maple rode Secretariat to victory by 61.2 lengths. After the race, Secretariat was brought to Aqueduct Racetrack, where he was paraded before fans in his final public appearance. Altogether, Secretariat won 16 of his 21 career races, with 3 seconds and 1 third, with total earnings of $1,316,808. At age 3, Secretariat was again named Horse of the Year, and won Eclipse Awards as the American Champion 3-year-old male horse and the American Champion male turf horse. Honors and retirement, breeding rights were sold for Secretariat before he won the Triple Crown. As part of his first crop at stud, Secretariat sired Canadian Bound, who was the first thoroughbred yearling racehorse ever sold for more than $1 million. At the 1976 Keeneland July sale, the auction bidding for Canadian Bound broke the $1 million barrier, selling for $1.5 million, equal to $6.2 million today. Canadian Bound was a complete failure in racing, and for several years, the value of Secretariat's offspring declined considerably. However, he eventually sired a number of major stakes winners, including 1986 Horse of the Year Ladies Secret, 1988 Preakness and Belmont Stakes winner Risen Star, 1990 Melbourne Cup winner Kingston Rule, which broke the course record in Australia's richest race, and the 1994-1995 winner of the G1 Pacific Classic, Tinner's Way, born in 1990 to Secretariat's last crop. He also sired General Assembly, which won the 1979 Travers Stakes at Saratoga while setting a still-standing race record of 2:00 flat. Andrew Bear has said General Assembly's speed figure in that race was one of the highest in history. Like Secretariat in the Belmont, General Assembly never duplicated that performance in the races that remained on his schedule. Secretariat was retired at 3 years old and General Assembly at 4. Ultimately, Secretariat sired as many as 600 foals. There has been some criticism of Secretariat as a stallion, due in part to his perceived inability to produce male offspring of his same caliber. However, he turned out to be a noted brood mare sire, being the maternal grandsire of 1992 Horse of the Year and successful sire AP Indy, Secretariat's grandson through his daughter Weekend Surprise, and sired by another Triple Crown winner, Seattle Slew. AP Indy is the sire of 2007 Belmont Stakes winner Rags to Riches, the first filly to win at Belmont since 1905. Secretariat is also the dam sire of the great stallions Stormcat, through his daughter Terlingua, herself an excellent razor mare, and of Gone West, through his daughter Secret Tame. Secretariat is also the great-grandsire of Giant's Causeway through his grandson Stormcat and daughter Terlingua. Secretariat's genetic legacy may be linked in part to the likelihood that he carried the X factor, and thus, a trait Secretariat could only pass on via his daughters. However, it is yet to be proven whether the X factor increases athletic ability. Death. In the fall of 1989, Secretariat was afflicted with laminitis, a painful and often incurable hoof condition. When his condition failed to improve after a month of treatment, he was euthanized on October 4 at the age of 19. Secretariat was buried at Claiborne Farm in Paris, Kentucky, given the rare honor of being buried whole. A necropsy revealed his heart was significantly larger than that of an ordinary horse. An extremely large heart is a trait that occasionally occurs in thoroughbreds, linked to a genetic condition passed down via the dam line, known as the X factor. The X factor can be traced to the historic racehorse Eclipse, which was necropsied after his death in 1789. Because Eclipse's heart appeared to be much larger than other horses, it was weighed, and found to be 14 pounds, almost twice the normal weight. Eclipse is believed to have passed the trait on via his daughters, and pedigree research verified that Secretariat traces in his dam line to a daughter of Eclipse. In the 20th century, the heart of Four Lap was weighed and also documented to be 6.35 kilograms, or essentially the same size as that of Eclipse. At the time of Secretariat's death, the veterinarian who performed the necropsy, Dr. Thomas Swercock, head pathologist at the University of Kentucky, did not weigh Secretariat's heart, but stated, "We just stood there in stunned silence. We couldn't unregistered trademark T believe it. The heart was perfect. There were no problems with it. It was just this huge engine." Later, Swercock also performed a necropsy on Sham, who died in 1993. Swercock did weigh Sham's heart, and it was 18 pounds. Based on Sham's measurement, and having necropsied both horses, he estimated Secretariat's heart probably weighed 22 pounds, or about 2 3/4 times as large as that of the average horse. Posthumous Recognition. On October 16, 1999, in the winner's circle at Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington, the U.S. Postal Service honored Secretariat, unveiling a 33-cent postage stamp with his image. ESPN listed him 35th of the 100 greatest North American athletes of the 20th century, the highest of 3 non-humans on the list. Secretariat was inducted into the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame in 1974, the year following his Triple Crown. In 2005, he appeared in ESPN Classics show, Who's Number 1? In the list of greatest sports performances, the horse was the only non-human on the list, with his run at Belmont ranking second behind Will Chamberlain's 100-point game. On May 2, 2007, Secretariat was inducted into the Kentucky Athletic Hall of Fame, marking the first time an animal received this honor. A new award created in 2010 titled the Secretariat Vox Populi Award was presented by Penny Chenery to the first honorary, Zenyatta. This annual award will acknowledge the horse that brings the most excitement and attraction to the sport. Pop culture. Secretariat, a Disney live-action film written by Mike Rich and directed by Randall Wallace, was released on October 8, 2010. The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson features a pantomime horse named Secretariat. Races, pedigree, references. External links: the official Secretariat website, ESPN Sports Century number 35 Secretariat, KentuckyDerby.com Secretariat Euro 1973, ESPN Classic ESPN Classic Story on 1973 Belmont November 19, 2003, USPS.com Euro 1999 US Postage Stamp Secretariat, Secretariat at Find a Grave, Pedigree Online Pedigree of Secretariat.